Well, welcome back to the live pictures of the Carkloof 100-mile trail race. Apologies for the breakup in transmission there. We are out here in the middle of nowhere up in the Carkloof Valley, and unfortunately the internet connection's not that strong, so unfortunately we get a few drops there, but a few of the athletes are warming up here. We've got the 10-kilometer that's about to start, but as the athletes are making their way through from Mboma to Rich Willow, the next point in the race, let's take a little bit of a better look at that area.
So if you check in, that's where your time will start. So even if you are allocated a different do come and check in here. You guys are running out this exit over here. So if you watch the marathon start, you're not running like the 21s did. You're checking in over here, but you're running out here and then onto the field. We're also very close to welcoming our first 42 in at the halfway point. So Pirates, I hope you amped and ready. Your first participant shouldn't be too much longer coming through here. Let's get all the 10s into the batch and we'll hopefully get you all going together at 8 o'clock, so 8:30, maybe even slightly earlier. I do want to get you in a bit of a breeze, maybe cooling things down, but you guys will be heading across the field in the open to begin with. There is some cover, especially in the latter stages of your course, but
visuals there of Bush Willow
it also is exposed. It's going to get warm out there. Here we go, our first runner has just hit the field on the marathon. So you might have to make a little gap depending on the timing here. He's going to come into the aid station and he's going to have to run out the other side where you guys are checking in. But he's probably still about 3 or 4 minutes away. And as I said, he'll come through this aid station over here. And then he'll head onwards.
Aid station here where the athletes are coming through to get their little goodies. But yeah, 2 athletes so far in the 42-kilometer coming through, as the athletes in your right-hand side of the picture there in the 10-kilometer wait for their start to get underway just after 8 o'clock.
All right, so we got all the 10s in here. So Cole, I see we've got a few more 10s coming across here. Guys, regardless of what batch you're in, I'm keen to get you out onto the trail. So go and check in underneath the KZN TR gazebo. Let's fill this batch up and perhaps send you all in one group. I think it's a great way to do it. Gets us all out on the trail at once, and you all know who you're running against and all those sorts of things. Also helps us just avoid a little bit of the heat. It is going to get hot. You've got an aid station out there as always with KZN TR events. Do be careful, don't push it too hard in the early stages, especially when you're exposed in the heat. It will then cool off in the forest slightly, but I can't make any promises. There comes our third place in the marathon. I believe our first two have already gone through. So if we can just make a little gap here, guys. We do have a marathoner coming through. He might not spend too long at the aid station. I think later in the race they spend a lot more time at the aid station. But there you go. Give him a round of applause as he goes straight through here onto his second loop there. That's onto the milk, having finished the honey loop. Right, do I have all my
Hello, Benny.
checked in? It's 8:24. Official start time.
We're going to be crossing over to Benny Roo.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this back.
Benny,
If there are any others, I'll send them in a second batch.
audibility isn't so
your
great
final
because I'm
race
competing
briefing,
with the
guys,
microphone because they're about
the
to
pink
announce the
markers,
start of a
because you are
one of
obviously running a
the
course
next
that
segments of the
marathon's running,
21K race.
Everyone's
So
running.
I might have to just
You're
call
gonna
it
applaud him through as he
and
comes
we
through.
chat
You're
in
gonna
10
run
minutes
out to
time.
your first marshals.
Because then at least I can
Johnny's gonna
hear
point
you,
to
and I
that
need to
flag.
hear you,
Get
Benny.
onto the field. Don't run across the track here. Get onto the field and then follow the markers around the edge of the field. From then onwards, your most important thing is that you engage
Benny,
with
I
each
think,
and every. Because there are splits. The markers are all pink, and you guys will turn left. The marshal will turn you left. You do have a road crossing, a tar road crossing. You go under the first time. The second time you come over, there's a flags person there, but please do be very careful. It's probably the most dangerous point of the trail is crossing the tar, where you do have quicker vehicles moving. You'll come out into these trees here. So the end bit of the trail does have some relief from the sun, but you're going to be pretty exposed for the beginning of it. If you're not checked in yet, I'm going to send you in your, there we go, our last runner checking in. Dane, we got you on timing. I've got a thumbs up from Dane. It's early. We don't start races early very often, but we are going to this morning. It's 8:26. You can come right up to the start line if you want to, guys. And it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 10 kilometer. Take it away. There we go. Johnny will just guide you around there. Go to the KZN trail running flag. And there we go, sending them all off. Enjoy, guys. Take it easy to start with. It's nice and hot now. The final race of the Carkloof Trail Festival here this weekend, 24th to 26th September, is underway. It's the 10 kilometer. It's going to have some competition in it up front. They're starting off nice and slowly, but no doubt there's going to be a bit of testing. But great to see a lot of people just out there for the experience as well. And right at the back, Mum and Babe. Enjoy yourselves, guys.
And we're crossing over live to Benny Roo.
It was like fifth place, just coming in there on the trail marathon.
Benny, are
One of
you
the Martin
there?
Academy runners, I think. Quick bit of Coke. and he'll be on his way.
Hi, Linda. I can hear you. Linda, I can hear you if you can hear me.
The wind is picking up, sure. Sure. Maybe I'm on. Crossing live now to Benny Rue in Joburg. Benny, are you there? Can you hear me? We're going to be crossing live to Benny Rue, the winner of Carlkloof 100 Miler, the inaugural Carlkloof 100 Miler in 2017. Benny, can you hear me?
Spectacular. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, if you're not getting it.
Hello, Benny, you're going to have to speak very loudly. I can only just hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, Benny, you're very, very faint. I'm just going to work on that from my side.
Okay.
Okay, so Benny, it's great to have you with us today. I wish that you were here at the Carlkloof Country Club, but the FOMO is huge, I'm sure, from your side.
Absolutely. I was at the inaugural Carlkloof, and it was so great that I went back the following year. But yeah, I missed out last year and this year. So hopefully next year is my year again.
And Benny, you christened this race, this inaugural version of the race in 2017, with a fantastic time, especially for an inaugural race, 18:11. And I must say, the guys since then have been using that as a benchmark to push beyond, admittedly, but it remains sort of up there, obviously, with many of the fast times. Tell us a bit about your experience of that race. I know the conditions were a little bit cooler that day than are to be expected today. Today we're expecting 32 degrees, dry conditions, which is good, so no mud. But the heat will hammer the runners today. So tell us, Benny, about your 2017 win.
Yes, it was actually one of those races where I just pitched up, and I didn't expect to win. I was going for maybe a top 10 place at best, and everything that could went wrong on that race did went wrong. My iPod died, my headlight, both my batteries died. I had to make a plan, and I think just because so many things went wrong, I wasn't really focusing on the running. I was just focusing on all these other problems, and I think it's probably the best race ever that I've run. I still have big FOMO about the race, and I would really love to come back. The race, it was actually perfect weather in 2017. I think that was the inaugural race, if I'm not wrong. And it actually started pouring in the middle of the race, I think, or towards the end of the race. And it got quite cold out there. And if I can give the guys a bit of a tip, whenever it gets that cold, you just need to move a bit faster and don't start walking.
Yeah.
But for the heat today, I don't really have any tips for the heat. You just have to suffer.
Yes, yeah, it is. I think fluid intakes are really important for heat in advance of the heat. So for today's field, for instance, they need to be aware of what to expect later and to prevent, to act now to prevent the effects of later with the heat.
Absolutely, is to try and keep your core temperature down, whether you're pouring water or go sit in a stream if there is any. I think that will be important, and to keep hydrated.
Yeah, it's so true. And Benny, what other tips, if you could give the runners some tips, if they could be listening, which they won't be, but for future years, what tips would you give 100-mile runners on this particular course for a good race?
Well, my number one tip is to force feed yourself. You have to keep the tank full. If you run out of fuel, you're not gonna finish the race. So force feed yourself and try to stick to normal food like bananas and potatoes and peanut butter sandwiches and stuff like that. You won't feel hungry, but you have to force feed yourself. I think the second tip is to watch your feet, because so many people suffer from blisters, and they always ask me why I don't get blisters. It's because I take care of my feet. You would often see me at an aid station, completely cleaning my shoes, my socks, everything. I don't want any dirt in there. So that's another tip. Look after your feet, and then run economically. Don't burn all your matches in the first staff. Don't burn all your matches on the hills. Rather run the race with an equal effort. So never.
We go next of our 42s coming into the aid stage.
And then just hang a bit back.
Want to top up here, no doubt about it. Get some.
That's about it, I think.
Some Coke, some green soda, whatever your favorite is there. Maybe a bite of an orange, and then it's onto the milk loop. You'll head out across the road.
You're extremely experienced with the ultra stuff. Not just 100-milers, but you won the Munga.
Well done.
I think that same year, was it 2018? I lose track of the years, but you did a fantastic performance at the Munga, which makes this distance look a baby version. So things like foot management and economic running, play an even greater role over those sorts of distances, and you're the master of that. I must say, you showed that.
Yeah, thanks. The Munga would always be close to my heart. It's kind of the race that defined me, and such a pity that the race was also cancelled due to COVID, and we're not sure at this stage whether it will ever be back again. But yeah, let's keep our hopes up. Maybe it will be back.
So looking like they may well break that 3-hour barrier.
Benny, I'm gonna hope that you're available a little bit later today. Because I must say the audibility isn't so great right now, and I have so many more questions I want to ask you, and that the listeners want to hear. So I'm really hoping that if we get in touch in a few hours' time, we can steal another 10 minutes or so of your time, Benny. It really would be great to chat some more.
Yes, please. I'm available the whole day. Just shout.
Great.
Cool.
Benny, thank you.
All right.
It's been great touching base, and we're going to do the second half of this interview with Benny Roux in a few hours' time, when Benny will tell us more about his secrets to his ultra running success. Thank you, Benny. Great to
Thanks.
chat.
Thanks for having me.
And we're going to cross over now to some of the live footage, either at Benvie or see what's happening there as the race hots up with the 50 miler. In the early stages of the 50 miler, we're now a couple of hours in, and obviously with the 100 miler runners now going back on themselves along the course in the same direction as the 50 milers are.
Well, welcome back to the live pictures of the 2021 Carkloof Trail Series 100 miler, 50 miler, marathon, 21k, 10k. Any events
all
I'm missing there, Linda?
Kieran.
Yeah, great atmosphere here, but that's a wrap for this morning, for this morning's update from the trails here in Carkloof. We've got a very exciting race happening in the 100 miler as well as the 50 miler, but we're going to wrap things up here this morning from the Carkloof Country Club. It's not the last that you'll be seeing of us today. We will be back on later on in the day to bring you the winners of the 100 miler, the 50 miler and all the various distances. Keep a lookout on the social media handles under the Carkloof Trail Series on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. And then don't forget, Linda, they can actually also follow via the live tracking on the updates on the app.
Absolutely, and as the race heats up, literally and figuratively in terms of competition, we will be back to bring you all the down and dirty on the runners and their positions as they approach the last 20 to 30 Ks of their race for those front runners. It's going to be really, really dramatic.
So it's not a goodbye, we'll see you later.